We're back again. It just seems like every time we turn around, our internet was down again today for a good portion of the day. And it is back, and we are back. And I have a question before we begin for our audience. And that is, do any of you use Starlink, and are you happy with it? We are beginning to think that we may need a whole new internet connection system because this is a little bit,
Yeah, it was like the 30th time we've had to call.
yeah, in not that long a period of time. As I always say, I like to talk about, follow up with some of the things that we've already talked about. And John Solomon of Just the News is really proven himself to be a great investigative reporter. And he had a report today about the shooter, the DC shooter. And we know some of this stuff, and some of this stuff we don't know, we didn't know. And so I thought that we would bring that to you all. And that is that the CIA actually cut a deal to bring the Afghan Zero Unit, is what they were called, the Zero Unit fighters, including the man who killed the guard, the National Guard, the second National Guardman, Andrew Wolf, is still clinging to life. In fact, his father has posted on social media to please pray for his son, that he believes his son can be okay, but he is asking for prayer. And of course, we know this Afghan man's name is Lakwa. I'm not going to try
Ramanuala
that.
Lakanwaya.
He has been charged with murder now, and everyone from the president to Judge Jeanine Pirro are all talking about the death penalty, because the 20-year-old Army specialist Sarah Beckstrom has died from her injuries. But the part of this story that is really troubling to me is that the man the shooter, was a former member of the Afghan Special Forces group known as Zero Units. These units worked closely with the CIA for many years during the war in Afghanistan, and they carried out missions against the Taliban and other extremist groups. Now, when the Taliban took over Afghanistan in August 2021, of course, because of our ridiculous withdrawal, the United States depended on these fighters to help secure the Hamid Karzai International Airport. And so during that evacuation, now the U.S. promised, if they would help secure that airport, that they promised to evacuate thousands of the Zero Unit fighters and their families if they helped to do this, which they did, and assisted them with the evacuation. Many of these fighters were evacuated in the final days of August 2021, and the reports say that between 10 and 12,000 Zero Unit members, and perhaps more, and their families were included and eventually brought to the United States. Now, here's the thing about bringing them to the United States. Well, they kept saying, were they vetted? Were they vetted? They weren't vetted. Nobody vetted them. Even Johnny Ratcliffe said these people were not vetted. Well, when Mayorkas and others were saying, oh, they were vetted, what they were vetted for was, would they be good soldiers? Were they good fighters? Could they be taught how to be military soldiers? According to that was the vetting. The vetting was, can you shoot? Can you shoot with a gun? I mean, are you willing to shoot? Whatever test you give a person if they're capable of fighting. And that is the vetting they had. Now, this guy arrived in the United States in September with his wife and children and stayed on a military base before he settled in the Seattle area. Now, again, I keep asking people, why did he come all the way from Seattle to Washington, D.C., and shoot at the guardsmen. Why would he come? You would think there were a lot of National Guard present between Washington State and Washington, D.C. How many miles is it? Just guess.
I don't know, 2,500,
25.
2,300.
So in 2,300 miles, you couldn't find a National Guard.
You got to go through Chicago. I mean,
well, yeah, you could have gone to Chicago. That's right. The Pritzker would have had. So anyway, so he came from Seattle, came all the way to DC, and I think my personal feeling, my personal suspicion is it had something to do with the fact that, I don't know, our president of the United States resides in DC, and they wanted maybe to make him look bad, or
right.
Who knows? I don't think that this particular guy had any beef with the National Guard personally himself. I think that he may have been influenced. The CIA is cutting a deal in order to bring them over here. And it also, according to John Solomon, according to intelligence officials who preferred to remain anonymous, they cut a secret deal. They quietly cut this deal. Well, if it's a good deal and beneficial to the United States and a good thing to do, you don't do it in secret. You don't do it quietly. You do it out in the open. And it just harkens back, I'm sorry, to MK Ultra, which is a program that the CIA ran between 1953 and stopped in 1973. They say they stopped. It was stopped because it was found to be inhumane. And that was the program where they were doing mind control, experimenting with drugs on people to try to get to see if they could make people do what they wanted them to do, such as assassinations. Now, I'm not saying that that's what was happening here, but it does beg the question. They say they've stopped this program. Have they? They say they've stopped Mockingbird program a long time ago, and Tulsi Gabbard recently made the comment that she was going to put an end to the Mockingbird program. You can't put an end to something
that's already ended.
So in any case, that just brings up a lot of questions. Several former intelligence and military officials have criticized how the evacuation was handled. Of course, the evacuation was handled improperly. We all know that. And these Afghanis are out there. They were part of the Zero unit. They fought for us. They had a deal with the CIA to bring them over here. What other deals do they have? What other deals were made? We don't really know. They weren't vetted to see if they liked the United States or wanted to live here. They were only vetted to see if they would be good soldiers.
Well, of course, they had profiles on all these people. All the zero unit fighters. They had profiles, and some rogue guy, old guy in the CIA who has turned the corner and gone over with the anti-Trumpers says, okay, well, we need to find one of these crazy guys to come and do something in DC to embarrass Trump. Well, and so they look up they go through all the profiles and say, let's get this guy.
And that is a possibility. We don't want to say for sure that's what they did, but that is a possibility. But the other thing that
it's just weird that he would drive completely across the country to get as close as he could, essentially, to the White House to shoot and kill a couple guardsmen.
Exactly right. And I want to make this point that the Zero unit people were effective in protecting American soldiers, Americans while they were over there. But Colonel Adam West he was in Afghanistan. He was in Afghanistan, and he made this point. He said, yeah, we used these people and they did fight, but he said there were many incidences of where the Afghan soldiers turned their guns on the American soldiers and killed them because they couldn't be trusted to do what we wanted them to do, and they wanted to take out Americans. And unfortunately, it was very easy for them to do that. They have a gun, they're fighting together. They just turn their gun on and kill the American. So obviously, these people are not to be trusted. And his brother, this shooter's brother, was also in the Zero Unit, and he was a platoon leader over there. So, you know, where is he? And that's the question is, in my mind, how many more? They said 10 to 12,000. So we have 10 to 12,000 former Zero Unit
Killers?
military. Yes. Military killers. Well, we know the CIA has a history of training assassins. Of course, that's another program that they say they stopped. That started in 1954, and they say that it's no longer going on. They're no longer training assassins. Well, I want to point out, though, Bill, that all of these things happened, not this shooting, but that the secret deal the CIA made, etc., with these Zero Unit Army members, all of these things hamper situations we have no. That's my hope. Actually on top of all of that, because this is scary. I'm sorry, but it's a little bit scary. I mean,
Yeah, well, I've just got a feeling that you can track back who in the American side befriended this particular guy back in the day, and you might be able to find out some stuff about that.
well, that's exactly right, and I hope they're. I'm assuming that they're doing that. I'm assuming that they're looking into his brother. I know that they raided his apartment. He had an apartment, and they did raid it. So maybe they've turned up some information about that. I don't really know. All I know is this is an ongoing situation, and there will be a lot more to come out of it, come out in the future.
You know, I just wondered about that because Trump did come out and put a definite hard stop on all immigration. And so he must know something. That was an unusually stiff thing to do.
Well,
And he's also put an air stop on all air traffic into Venezuela.
exactly right. And you know, they've been bombing the boats, and now that he's put up a ban on the, what is it called, on the airspace, but there's a word for it. But yeah, something's going on, and I think that he has also put a restriction on the visas or the protection over, as we talked about before, the Somalis coming over. Um, I don't know, but I, I I know that we have a wonderful president. I do believe he has a good cabinet. I think Johnny Ratcliffe is a good person. I think it is really um, his job is like herding cats. I mean, has probably a lot of CIA out there who are what you might call rogue agents. And are there any comments you wanted to?
They're saying that our sound is not buffering properly. Is our sound good now, chat people?
Well, I don't.
No comments.
Is there any? The sound is not buffering properly. Does that mean you can't hear us at all, and all you see is our smiling faces?
No, they just said it's never as good as it should be. It's good now. Okay.
Okay, it's better now. Okay, well, as I said, does anybody out there have Starlink, and maybe and has had a good experience? I know some people who have it and they've had a good experience with it, but we don't want to jump to something that's worse. In any case, I think that's all that we had for today. We just really wanted to update people on this situation. It's not surprising. It's kind of what we expected, but when they used the phrase that it was a secret, quiet deal, you know something's wrong. Something, when the CIA makes a quiet deal, it's because they don't want anybody to know about it, and that's not good. What do you think?
I think my wife knows something.
I don't know, really. I don't know. But in any case,
She ran in here waving this paper, so
all I know is I've never trusted them. We need to get rid of the CIA. Completely. But
that's going too far.
yeah,
Johnny Radcliffe can clean it up.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so before those bullets come flying at people other than, I shouldn't say it, but I mean, what if they were decided to take out citizens and just, so we hope not. At any rate, we hope that all of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and are enjoying the rest of this weekend. And we will be back. And we'll try to give you some notice as to when we're going to be back. Bill is working on the story that I think is going to have to go up on his Rumble channel. So, and of course, we said that before, that didn't happen. But this time we are going to do it. It's going to be an interesting story on
something I've been involved with for a long time.
That's right. It's concerning the assassination of somebody in the past. And it should be very riveting.
Rivet.
Okay. So with all of that said, God bless all of you. God bless President Trump. And thank you for joining us today.
Bye.
And bye.